If you're in the mood to be inspired and perhaps a bit humbled, meet Marie Ens. Uprooted from the Canadian prairie, she has planted herself in the middle of the AIDS pandemic in Southeast Asia. Why, you may ask? Well, as the CBC's Darrow McIntyre finds, it's all about bringing a little comfort and hope to people who have seen little of either for a very long time.
At an orphanage on the outskirts of Phnom Penh, Sunday afternoon means dance practice. For children who've seen much suffering in their lives, this is a chance to escape. For some, though, escape is difficult. Painful memories are never far from the surface. These children are victims of the worst AIDS epidemic in Asia. AIDS left most of them with no family, no money, no home. It almost left them with no hope until they discovered this place called, appropriately, Rescue. And this former Saskatchewan farm girl, Marie Ens. She is the founder and director of Rescue. But to 103 children who live here, she's Ma Ye, grandmother. In fact, Rescue started out not as an orphanage, but as an AIDS hospice. For the women who come here, mostly to die, Marie Ens is also grandmother.
And she's on antivirals, but you can see she still has problems. Her skin is not good. Really bad. Yeah. Real bad coughing and the itching.
Ens, who started Rescue with her own retirement savings, first saw the need for a place like this in the mid-1990s, when Cambodia's AIDS epidemic was at its peak.
Oh, she came here after her husband committed suicide. He had AIDS too. Yeah.
She'd come to the country in the early 60s as a Christian missionary with her husband Norman. After Norman passed away, Marie chose to continue with her missionary work, but a brief visit to a Phnom Penh military hospital in 1994 changed everything.
That's where we met our first AIDS patient, and she was a young woman, a young female soldier, and had no doubt done other things besides fight in the war, and so she had contracted AIDS. It was incredibly tore our hearts out to see this poor woman. It's still awful to just think about, because they had her off in a corner in the hall, and nobody was cleaning up for her. She was sick. There was this pool of stuff under her bed. Nobody was cleaning her up. Nobody was doing anything for her. We've got a lot to overcome.
That soldier died soon after, but their short acquaintance gave Ens a new mission.
She was the first one that we really sat up and looked at and realized that the AIDS crisis was a huge, huge problem here, and that everybody really needed to do something.
Back then, as the epidemic raged, Cambodians were ill-equipped to fight it themselves. The 1960s saw the country virtually destroyed by the American war against Vietnam. What was left fell into the hands of the Khmer Rouge in the 1970s, which outlawed technology, destroyed all hospitals, and sent all educated people, including doctors, to the killing fields. The 1980s saw yet another decade of war. So, by the time AIDS appeared in the 1990s, Cambodia's infrastructure, healthcare system, and its very economy were defenseless to stop it. The government's man in charge of trying to stop it is Dr. Min Chi Voon. In the first few years of the epidemic, he says, the disease spread to 3% of the population, almost 250,000 people, largely because nobody knew much about it.
A lot of effort have been done since 1994, We promote condom use among sex workers in 1998. And also we conduct the awareness campaign on HIV and AIDS prevention among general population.
That education, he says, and an influx of foreign aid has since slowed the spread of the disease.
HIV, prevalence, in Cambodia, was, declining from 3% in 1997, down to 1.9% in year 2003 among the adult population aged 15 to 49 years old.
Local aid workers like Sophia with the group Kana agree education is important, but say thousands of people in need of treatment still aren't getting it.
So far, I think the Ministry of Health estimated at least 12,000 of people with HIV/AIDS who need ARV get it. And the overall estimation of those who need it, about 20,000 plus. So at least 8,000, 9,000 more have no service at all.
The women at rescue are typical of those people who normally get no services.